They thought I was powerless. They thought I would just watch as they took what was mine. As they carved out pieces of my land and built 35 shiny homes under the name of progress. They thought I'd bow to the homeowners association, to their lawyers, their paperwork, their polished lies. But they forgot one thing: I had the land before they had their rules. And in that land, hidden from their greedy eyes, was a secret they never understood. A dam, built by my grandfather, carved into the valley like a scar, holding back a river that could swallow every brick they laid. It started small, the way most betrayals do. They came to me with contracts, polite words, and smiles too wide to be trusted. It's for the community, they said. It will raise property values, they promised. They waved papers and figures, talked about schools and playgrounds. But when I said no, when I told them this land wasn't for sale, they didn't stop. They built anyway. First one home, then another, until 35 stood tall, their windows staring at me like eyes full of arrogance. I fought them in court. I wrote letters, signed petitions, shouted at city meetings. No one listened. The HOA was powerful, with connections that reached into every office, every desk where my complaint landed. To them, I was just one man. To them, my voice was too small. But while they dismissed me, I was listening to the sound of the dam groaning under the weight of the river. To the echo of my grandfather's words, water always wins. For months I walked the ridge above that dam. I'd stand there at night, looking down at the rows of houses, their lights glowing soft against the dark. Families moved in. Children laughed in yards that weren't supposed to exist. Cars lined driveways on soil that was never theirs. They were comfortable, thinking the fight was over. Thinking the land was tamed, but it wasn't. The river waited, patient and hungry. The day came when I couldn't stand the sight anymore. 35 homes, symbols of everything stolen from me, mocking me with every brick and every fence. I climbed the path to the dam with hands that didn't shake, because I already knew what I was going to do. The sky was heavy with rain, clouds swollen as if the world itself knew what was coming. The roar of water pressed against the wall, a beast begging to be released. I looked once more at the rows of houses below, neat little boxes stacked in order, so fragile compared to the force waiting behind me. I pulled the lever. At first, there was silence. Just the groan of steel, the hiss of pressure releasing. Then came the sound, the roar of water exploding into freedom, a thunder that shook the valley. The river surged forward, tearing at the earth, foaming white with fury. It rushed down the slope with unstoppable speed, and within moments, it struck the edge of the development. Fences snapped like twigs. Lawns disappeared under waves. Cars floated like toys. The houses, those 35 monuments to arrogance, never stood a chance. Water tore through them like they were paper. Walls crumbled, roofs caved, windows shattered. Families ran, screaming, clutching whatever they could as the flood swallowed their streets. The HOA, the lawyers, the developers, all, their power meant nothing against the river's rage. I stood on the ridge and watched it all. The destruction, the chaos, the justice of nature unleashed. And I didn't feel guilt. I felt something colder, sharper. I felt balance being restored. They would call me a criminal. They would call me a monster. They would say I endangered lives. Maybe they were right. But no one remembered the months I begged them to stop. No one remembered how I warned them about the dam, how I told them that the land wasn't theirs to take. They wanted to ignore me. They wanted to silence me. But you can't silence the river. By morning, the homes were ruins, shattered shells dripping with mud and silence. The once proud streets were rivers themselves, carrying away the last remains of what they thought was permanent. And I stood there, the last man of the valley, watching the water flow where it always belonged. In their arrogance, they forgot that land has memory. They thought contracts and signatures could erase history. But this land was never theirs. It was mine, passed down through blood and sweat, shaped by hands that built the dam with stone and fire. They thought 35 homes would erase that truth. They thought wrong. Now, when I walk through what remains, I see more than destruction. I see warning. I see proof that greed always collapses under its own weight. The HOA will rebuild, no doubt. They'll sue, they'll try to punish me. But deep down, every one of them will remember the night the water came. The night one man showed them that power doesn't always wear suits and ties. That sometimes it wears boots caked in mud and carries the memory of rivers. People ask if I regret it. They whisper about the lives that were upended, about the families who lost everything. I look at them and stay silent, because what they never understood is that I lost everything first. They took it from me piece by piece until there was nothing left to lose. And when a man has nothing left to lose, he becomes something they can never control. The water still flows through the valley now, carving new paths, filling the air with the sound of rushing freedom. The dam is broken, and with it, so is the illusion that they ever controlled this place. One day, maybe, someone will rebuild. Maybe they'll try again to plant their houses, their fences, their neat little lives on this land. But they'll always know the truth. The land doesn't belong to them. It never did. It belongs to the river. And the river belongs to me.